Hello world, I have returned. What's up? Hello. I'm back. I've been sick the last week and I can finally make another video. And what better time to do it than about 1 hour before I reach 1 full month without weed. Um, yeah, I, I'm doing it. 1 month. It's been a really weird month for me, but things are and have in general gotten better, you know? I think the first 2 weeks were hell and chaos, especially with the physical symptoms of withdrawals. And it kind of helped that week 3 I was very consumed by work, and then week 4 I got sick, so I couldn't really think about weed to begin with. And things have just, been progressing. I feel like at least I'm reaching a relative state of normality in my own head. I think that there's still going to be a lot of ups and downs and a lot of learning to do in regards to how to just handle everyday life without weed. I feel like I probably chose the worst part of the year possible for me to be doing this, with how disgusting and grim and dark and just gross the weather is in Eugene, Oregon at this time of the year. It's been like foggy and 30 degrees for the last 2 weeks with no breaks, no sun, and it's kind of miserable, but I'm just trying to make do with what I can and keep myself occupied, keep myself as positive as possible, and yeah, it's been good. I don't regret doing this at all, and I don't currently have any true desire to smoke weed again. I think I'm pretty much fully committed to just not doing anything until at least after Costa Rica in March. And even then I'll see, I don't know. It's good to not have myself be controlled by a substance, 30 days without it, the first 2 weeks were brutal, and I think that anybody that's going to do this has to expect that you're gonna go through hell for a bit, but I promise you, speaking from experience, that it gets easier. Like, it just 2 weeks is all it takes. It's gonna suck, but 2 weeks after 2 weeks, it just gets easier and easier. And I mean, it doesn't totally get rid of like all the desires and difficulties of living life without being high, but through exposure of time not being high, you learn how to exist in your own brain. At least that's what's been happening with me. I think that I'm having my most difficulty in just kind of like avoiding staying like figuring out what to do when I'm bored, instead of just getting high, letting whatever stoned mental state that I enter decide my bored activities. I do find myself just kind of, I don't know, deciding between napping or watching like YouTube or whatever, It's been interesting. I don't think I'm in the clear totally, because I was able to go a month without weed last year when I first attempted this, before I really relapsed and completely fell apart. So I need to just not let myself start smoking again and not become content with, oh, I made it a month, let's celebrate by smoking a bowl. No, I think instead I should celebrate by, I don't know, just being nice to myself. And maybe that's the whole reason I did the Costa Rica trip, to celebrate a new mental space, a new found perspective on life, and no longer being controlled by something other than myself, One of the harder things for me has been learning how to deal with anxiety and stress without weed, because for the most part, I handle things better than I have in the past. Like when I was in a really bad mental place, I don't get as anxious, I don't get as paranoid, but when things do come up, it kind of consumes everything. For example, I had a few issues with my travel stuff that I planned. I realized that my passport is technically damaged, so I have to get a new passport. And while I have 3 months to do it, just the whole idea of something going wrong really filled me with anxiety. And it didn't help that I was like also getting sick at the same exact time that my mind was decided to go like AWOL about this, and it really kind of fucked my head up a bit. But I got through it without smoking weed. I figured it out. I went through the motions of my own brain, rationalizing both my anxiety and also why it's not necessary for me to be anxious, or like how to handle the anxiety, I guess. I don't think not necessary to be anxious is the right way to put it. More so doing every single thing I can in the moment to take care of the anxiety that I'm feeling through actions rather than just waiting and hoping it goes away. I managed to get all my documents, put a passport application in within like 3 days of that anxiety fit. So I actively did something to deal with it, which in the past, while high, I probably would have just just smoked some weed and hoped that the anxiety went away instead of actually taking care of things. So I think this is all good, you know? It's kind of crazy to think that I might be done with weed altogether. I said I was going to smash my bong on day 30, but I'm still kind of scared to do that. I also, like, money-wise, I hate the idea of smashing something I spent $50 on, even though it's like, I don't want to use it anymore. Maybe I'll just give it to my friend instead. I feel like that's a better option. Unless you guys really want to see me smash my bong, and then I'll do it. I need, like, peer pressure from, like, people watching for me to smash my bong. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. But on the other hand, tomorrow night at midnight, I reach 700 days without nicotine, without vaping, which is fucking wild because that shit took forever for me to get off of. And I still do need to make a video about what I did, because I feel like anybody who's addicted to vaping could use my advice, because I didn't do anything special. I just gradually weaned myself off vaping through slowly decreasing the amount of nicotine and amount of hits from my vape that I took per day, and keeping track of it intensely through a vape that counted the daily hits. And yeah, I mean, keeping everything statistical seems to work really well for me. Numbers, keeping track of things, that's just what my brain computes with. The whole reaching 30 days tonight does feel very euphoric for me, you know? Like, I fought my ass off these last 30 days to make sure that I could get through it, and went through hell to quit weed just because of how brutal it's been on my brain to not be high all the time. And I think the difference between now and when I did it last time for a month, which I just don't count that last experience simply because I failed. I did fail. I managed to completely get back to where I was and smoke weed all day, every day again. But the difference now is that I'm actually, you know, a working member of society. I have a job. I function. And before I didn't have a job. I wasn't doing anything, and it was just like, yeah, I was just spending a lot of my time at home being idle or going bouldering at the time, which I haven't been doing enough recently. I need to do that. It's been hard with the weather to get myself to go out, but that's another topic. But I have more to occupy my mind with now, which is good. And I think that my advice to anybody who wants to do it is make sure that you're not just sitting alone with yourself constantly, because the more you just are stuck with your own brain, the more you're going to turn against yourself. You got to interact with people. You got to do something to put your mind into a different space, whether it's exercise, whether it's video games, whether it's something, you know. Just don't sit there with your mind and the cravings and get completely, you know, don't let yourself fall apart. And you guys can see in some of my previous videos how I was letting myself fall apart. I mean, maybe even just sitting here speaking to myself in these videos wasn't the brightest idea, because I don't know, I feel like there was better things I could have done to handle the feelings I was feeling, but talking does feel good. It's therapeutic to let out thoughts that otherwise would just sit in my brain, because what I'm doing right now when I make these videos is straight up just thinking. Like, I am not thinking before I speak. I am just speaking. Everything is just from here straight out the fucking mouth, which is the most, you know, genuine thing I can do. I feel like the most authentic record of me quitting weed. But yeah, you know, I'm going to keep making these videos. Just because I reached a month doesn't mean it's over. I'm also going to be making them more consistently because, like I said, I didn't mean to go a week without it. I just got sick, and I didn't feel like doing shit when I got sick. I was laying in bed and feeling gross, and then I had to work once I started to slightly recover, which working while kind of sick makes me want to go home and just sleep. So I was out of commission for a bit. Sorry about that. But what better day to do it again? Like I said, on my 1 month anniversary of quitting weed, because I've done it. If I can do this, I can do more. If I set my mind out to something, I will do it. And I think that, I hope that this can help somebody else. You know, I know everybody is not the same as me. I know that people deal with things differently, but this has been my experience. You can watch my videos, see what I've gone through, see what I've done to talk myself out of smoking or relapsing or whatever, and maybe use it to motivate yourself. Because that's the entire point of me documenting this process. Not only just to motivate other people, but to show show my future self that, say if I do relapse, I have evidence that I can do it again. I know I can do it. I've done it. I know it's gonna be hard, but I will do it. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna be out of, like, totally safe from addiction or relapsing or whatever the fuck, but I know I can take steps to take control back, and I have control back, and it's kind of good. You know, I can't wait for winter to be fucking over because it's miserable, because then I can be, you know, don't have to constantly feel like I'm fighting seasonal depression. So far so good, but it's only the start of December, so in Oregon it's gonna be grim until probably mid-March, which thankfully I'll be in Costa Rica at the start of March, so yeah. But yes, my name is Daniel, or Nugget the Cat, or Daniel Firewalker, or something, and I am 1 month sober from weed. I've done it. And the next step is to go 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And probably the real next step for me is to totally quit alcohol altogether. But for some reason, the idea of going totally substanceless is a scary one. I've totally decreased my amount of alcohol while doing this process just by association of trying to better myself. As I said in other videos, I've never been an alcoholic. I've never, like, drank too much, but I've been on the edge of it at times. And now I'm probably drinking 3 or 4 drinks a week, like 3 or 4 beers. And, you know, while it makes me feel good for like the hour or two while I'm buzzed, it really is not doing me any favors. So maybe that's up next. I mean, now that I don't have to worry about weed, I can take the next step and figure out something else. So who knows? I will keep you guys updated regardless. So yeah, thank you for watching. Sorry it's been so long, and until next time, love you guys.